In the early 1980s, Aurora civic leader Ann S. Goldsmith conceived the idea of creating an endowment to promote and foster the performing arts in Aurora, Illinois. The endowment was primarily intended to benefit the Paramount Arts Center, which now is called the Paramount Theatre. Anne enlisted the help of fellow community leaders Hal Brokaw and Carl Gruby in forming the new organization. The founding three, as Anne referred to her team, appointed a board of directors and developed a strategy for the raising of funds to ensure the survival of the Paramount Theatre. The organization, called the Paramount Arts Center Endowment, was incorporated in January 1983 with the help of attorney Calvin Thielen, who continued to advise the board throughout the years. In 1998, the organization, now referred to by the acronym PACE, became a component fund within the Community Foundation for the protection and professional management of its assets. As of 2012, the value of the endowment reached over $2 million. Ann Goldsmith served as the president and chairman of the board of PACE until her passing in 2009. Her successor to the chairmanship was Barbara Catterman, an Aurora businesswoman and supporter of the arts.
I don't know if you know how incredible a person Anne really was. She had the foresight and the vision and the idea and the dream of the endowment for the Paramount Theatre. And when you look back now over time to see what a gift that is and what's going on at the Paramount now just due to what Anne thought of and dreamt about and got us all involved with. It's just really just incredible.
Since 1931, the Paramount Theatre has been the premier cultural destination in the Fox River Valley. It is lovingly called the Jewel of Aurora, a fitting description for such an exquisitely constructed venue. The location on which the Paramount stands has had an interesting history. Many years ago, the land served as a swimming hole in the summer and an ice skating pond in the winter. According to local legend, a pavilion from the 1901 Pan American Exhibition in Buffalo, New York, was dismantled and moved to Aurora in the early 1900s. The pavilion, called the Temple of Music, was the site where President William McKinley was assassinated while on a visit to Buffalo in 1901. For many years, it was alleged that the Temple of Music was reassembled on property immediately south and adjacent to the current Paramount Theatre. Although a building named the Coliseum was constructed on that site, both the Aurora Historical Society and the Buffalo and Erie County Historical Society have concluded that there is little evidence to support the link between the two buildings. Regardless of its origin, the Coliseum was a popular place for roller skating, dancing, banquets, and livestock shows. In 1910, it was renamed the Fox Theatre and became a venue for vaudeville entertainment and silent films. The building was condemned in 1930 due to its dangerous wood construction. Another entertainment venue, the Sylvan Dell, was constructed in 1915, just north of the Fox Theatre. It consisted of a large open area for dancing and roller skating. It also had a bowling alley in the basement. In 1920, the Rialto Theatre was opened within the Sylvan Dell complex and occupied the same location that the Paramount does today. The theater was spacious and drew large crowds to its musical programs and silent movies. In 1925, The Gold Rush, starring Charlie Chaplin, was the featured movie of the week. Creative publicity was effective in bringing success to the theater. Sadly, in 1928, a fire destroyed the Rialto. It was called the $1 Million Fire, due to the amount of money the owners, Frank Thielen and Jules Rubens, had spent on the theater. Aurora firefighters worked in vain to save the structure, but the building was a total loss. Shortly thereafter, Jules Rubens commissioned the construction of a new theater for $1 million on the site of the former Rialto and Coliseum Fox buildings. The theater was to be one of the first in the country designed for showing talking motion pictures, a media that developed in the late 1920s. The esteemed architectural firm Rapp & Rapp of Carbondale, Illinois, was hired to draw up plans for an Art Deco structure with a Venetian influence. This unique mix of styles was suggested by Rubens, who was enthralled with Venetian decor after a visit to Europe. His critics scoffed at the thought of an Art Deco Venetian theme. Yet, when the Paramount Theatre opened in 1931, the result was stunning, and Rubens' critics were silenced. The final product was so magnificent that when Rubens sold his company to the famous Players Lasky Corporation just prior to construction, the new owners used the Aurora design as a prototype for other movie palaces they built around the country. As an aside, the new owners soon reorganized as the Paramount Publix Corporation and called their new theater in Aurora the Publix Paramount Theatre. By 1933, the company reorganized again into the famous Paramount Pictures Corporation. The new Aurora complex included a park adjacent to the theater, which had a rock garden, trees, and a curved walkway which led to a colorful waterfall and miniature golf course. Also, an air conditioner was installed in the theater. The Paramount became the first theater outside of Chicago to have this luxury. On September 3, 1931, the Paramount held its grand opening. Tickets sold out in one day, and a capacity crowd of 2,100 attended. The inaugural program included a band concert, fireworks, and the showering of roses from a squadron of airplanes. The feature movie was Secrets of a Secretary, starring Claudette Colbert. A Laurel and Hardy movie also was shown that evening. Publicity for the grand opening encouraged local citizens to be the first to see the luxurious theater. The attendees were not disappointed. Immediately outside the entrance was the decorative ticket booth, or gazebo as it was called. Inside the booth, employees issued tickets from the vintage ticket dispenser. As guests advanced through the inside doors, they were greeted by a magnificent lobby with Art Deco chandeliers. From the ceiling to the floor, to the mirrored walls, it seemed that no expense had been spared. Even the aisle numbers were elegantly displayed. The beautiful lighting caught everyone's attention, and the intricate design where the walls met the ceiling was breathtaking, making it clear that this was no ordinary building. From every angle, the theater shined. The magnificent Jewel of Aurora was now a reality. In the following months, the trolley took theater-goers to see newly released films. Notice the Block and Cool building that was located immediately west of the park. This well-known department store operated at this site from 1928 until 1961. The 1931 Marx Brothers movie, Monkey Business, filled the theater with patrons. Adults could view a first-run movie in the evening for 50 cents. In the late 1930s, the Paramount sold its park, and a one-story building was constructed in its place. The building housed small businesses wanting to benefit from downtown Aurora's prime real estate. The structure was torn down in the 1980s to make way for a new park honoring Aurora's sesquicentennial. For several decades, patrons enjoyed the movies and occasional live performances offered by the Paramount. However, by the 1960s, television and other entertainment options drew patrons away from the theater. As a consequence, the theater fell into disrepair and closed in 1976. Almost immediately, it was purchased by the Aurora Civic Center Authority, which provided $1.5 million to restore the Paramount to its original grandeur. All restorations were carefully planned to preserve the original fixtures, wall coverings, and architectural details. Even the original seats were restored to maintain the integrity of the design. The revitalized Paramount was reopened in April 1978. It was granted historic preservation status in 1986. Today, the Paramount is considered one of the top theaters in the Chicago area. In 2006, an exquisite 12,000-square-foot lobby was added next to the theater, where the original park and the Sesquicentennial Park once stood. The Grand Gallery houses a new box office, cafe, gift shop, and art gallery. In 2011, the vintage Carbon Arc 35mm film projector from the 1950s was replaced with a new 15,000-lumen high-definition digital projector. Tim Rader, executive director of the Paramount, and Rob Stretty, owner and president of Technical Theater Services Incorporated, discussed the features of the new projector, which is currently used to show movies at the theater. In 2011, Rader introduced the successful in-house productions of Broadway plays at the Paramount. New state-of-the-art lighting and sound systems were purchased for the new initiative. These upgrades, designed and installed by Rob Stretty, have contributed significantly to the success of the performances. Lou Ann Cates, the current technical director of the Paramount, oversees all equipment upgrades. As Lou Ann commented, "Over and over again, whether it's a traveling show, a comedian, or a local production, it's always wonderful to hear what great equipment we have at our theater." As an aside, Lou Ann's father, Lawrence Mickey Foster, also served as the technical director of the Paramount after the renovation in the 1970s until 1985. And in the 1930s, Lou Ann's grandfather, George R. Foster, ran the movie projectors. Their family history is closely linked to Aurora's Grand Movie Palace. The Paramount continues to this day to provide critically acclaimed entertainment, which draws patrons from throughout the Midwest. The Broadway Series is one of the most successful chapters in the theater's history.
The Broadway series has just been such a gift to the Paramount Theater that years ago no one would have thought we could do something like this. I don't think we even dreamed of doing anything like this. And then comes along a fellow by the name of Tim Rader, who has a dream. Here's another kind of Ann Goldsmith coming, believe me, lead me. And he then has this inspiration and hires a fellow by the name of Jim Cordy, who is our artistic director. And between the two of them, they gave the Paramount a gift that we will never, ever be able to thank them for.
We have embarked on a new adventure this year, Broadway, producing our own shows. It's been fantastic. We know it's gone well enough. We're going to have a second season. We would not have been able to do this without PACE. PACE has allowed us to do something that we've never done before, and it's involved the community in creating our own particular shows suited for Paramount Theater. You know, Broadway is bringing people in that we've never seen before. Over 60% of the people that are here for these shows have never been to the Paramount Theater, and so we're exposing people to this gem that we have in the heart of Aurora.
We are so fortunate to have an endowment fund, especially at the level that our endowment is at. There's many theaters across the country that don't have any endowment. Our fund allows us to do things that we could not otherwise do.
An historic remembrance of the Paramount Art Center Endowment's extraordinary commitment to the Paramount Theater would not be complete without acknowledging longtime supporters Dick and Arlene Hawks. Dick served as chairman and member of the board of directors of the Paramount Theater for many years. Arlene has directed numerous plays on the theater's stage. The couple has just assumed the position as co-chairs of PACE and will be working together to build this invaluable resource for the future of the theater.
To walk into the Paramount Theater is like walking into a dream, where the stars of the past and future come together in a home where they can show their incredible talents. The Paramount Theater has always been a gem in this community, and this community has always taken the theater under its wing.
Whether you've been a part of the theater on stage, backstage, or just a proud member of the audience, you're part of Paramount's history. Now, if you've never walked down the aisles, we certainly hope you'll become part of its future. With your gracious and generous support, we can continue to shine the spotlight on a successful tomorrow. My wife has a saying in theater: we don't believe in miracles, we rely on them.
And right now, the miracle we are relying on is you.
Through the continuing efforts of a dedicated staff and supportive community, the Paramount Theater will continue to entertain, educate, and inspire local citizens for generations to come. The stunning Jewel of Aurora is here to stay.